Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today. Remember a couple of shows ago I was actually talking about Bentley quite possibly building an entry-level model underneath the Continental GT. Well, apparently that may not happen, that they actually may be building an automobile just above the Continental GT. We'll have to wait and see what comes of this in the future. But one vehicle that they're really talking about, they talked to one of the major magazines, the head of Bentley did, and one of their engineers actually talked about that they're going to actually build a more high-performance version, if you can say there's such a thing, when it comes to the GT3-R. Now, if you don't know what the Continental GT3-R is, it's a little tip of the hat to their FIA GT Series winning race car that for the first time in many, many years, they actually won on British soil. So they did a little homage for that particular race car in this road car. This road car comes with a twin turbocharged 4-liter V8 putting out 572 brake horsepower and 516 pounds-feet of torque. 0 to 60 numbers come in at 3.6 seconds with a top speed of 170 miles an hour. Now we're hearing that the only 300 units have been, well, they've been spoken for a long, long time now. So Bentley thinks that they're going to actually strike while the iron is hot and actually build another version of this, a more high-performance version, which is very, very entertaining. We'll have to wait and see what comes of this particular model because it may be a real screamer. Maybe they'll bring back the big engine. We'll have to wait and see on that deal as well. Next up on the list, well, after all the Hellcat fury over the past month or so on the brand new Challenger Hellcat, the brand new 2015 SRT Viper is actually making its debut. Going to be heading to dealer showrooms very soon. But it's a little anticlimactic when you actually look at this particular automobile, because even as impressive as this vehicle is, some of the power numbers don't seem to be near as impressive as what they could be. It does get a bump up in horsepower for the 2015 season, but it's only 5 brake horsepower, so it's not very much. But now that puts us up to 645 brake horsepower and 600 pounds-feet of torque. I know I'm being a little bit weird here because that's still some monster numbers coming out of that 8.5-liter normally aspirated V10. Now this particular vehicle will rocket from 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds and does have a top speed of over 200 miles an hour. In fact, 206 when it comes to this vehicle. But again, when we just talked about the Challenger Hellcat that has over 700 brake horsepower and 650 pounds-feet of torque, it does make this car look a little bit wimpy. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, well, why don't they put the Hellcat in the Viper? Well, there's a lot of problems when it comes to this. Number one, the engine is too wide. Number two, the engine is actually way too tall. The hood would never, ever be able to close in this particular model. This car was never, the Viper that is, was never made to have that particular displacement engine in there, especially because that V8 sits a little bit too upright, as the actual V in that V10 is a little bit opened wide to allow for that low, slim hood. So still, the Viper hasn't been selling that well, but hopefully maybe this new 2015 model year will really kick that in high gear, and hopefully this vehicle will sell like SRT has been wanting. Last up on the list, this is just a handful of the collection, 543 strong, of Mr. James Hull. James Hull is a very prominent, in fact, maybe the world's greatest auto collector of tons of post-war and pre-war automobiles, including little Austin 7s, all the way up to modern-day Jaguars. Tons of modern-day Jaguars. In fact, XJS and XJs, he's got nearly 40 different examples of those particular machines. Well, he sold the collection, the entire collection, all 543, to Jaguar Land Rover. Very interesting situation. Never ever heard of this type of deal actually taking place. And it's actually a part of Jaguar that we've talked a lot about in the past. It's the Special Operations Group. Now this is the group that, remember when we talked about those 6 different Jaguar E-Type lightweight race cars that never were built and now are all going to be built again. Not to mention they're redoing vintage Jaguars, just like Ferrari's been doing with their Ferrari Historic Group, building vintage Ferraris and, in this place, vintage Jaguars to actual specs that they were back in the day. Well, they're going to round up all of these automobiles and put it right into their collection, and not to mention be taking a lot of these at different motorsports events and auto shows and whatnot. Very, very cool. In fact, Mr. Hull actually won't disclose, neither will Jaguar Land Rover, exactly what the money amount or dollar amount was on this particular lineup of automobiles, but Mr. Hull says he's more interested that this is actually taking a great home for these particular automobiles. He's taken a lifetime to build up this collection. It's very nice to see it in very good hands. So, attaboy for the folks over at Jaguar Land Rover. But again, never ever heard of anything like this ever happening before. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you jump on over to the Facebook page, very cool little video, actually the day of the taping of this program, that BMW put out where they took out a little roundabout in a certain city and took a bunch of BMW M235i's and did a humongous drift display, which is pretty doggone impressive. A lot of choreographed moves, very, very entertaining. It's up on the Facebook page right now. You can check it out over there. You can like us over there too. We'd really appreciate that as well. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time. Get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.